The lights of the studio glowed softly against the polished stage, the audience buzzing with anticipation. Jennifer Aniston had arrived, America's sweetheart, Hollywood royalty, the woman who had charmed millions across decades. Cameras rolled. Applause thundered. Everything looked perfect. But what began as another cheerful talk show segment would soon descend into one of the most shocking, uncomfortable, and unforgettable confrontations in live television history. What no one knew, not the audience, not the crew, not even the producers backstage, was that beneath the smiles and laughter, something was brewing. A tension that would explode in real time, tearing apart the illusion of late-night comedy and exposing something far darker beneath its surface. By the end of the night, a legend would walk off stage in silence. A host would be left shattered behind his desk, and the world would be forced to ask, when does a joke stop being funny and start becoming cruel? Jennifer Aniston entered the set radiating grace and warmth, her signature smile lighting up the studio. The audience cheered as she waved, settling into the chair opposite Jimmy Kimmel. On the surface, it was business as usual, a celebrity promoting her latest streaming series. Laughter echoed, applause followed every witty remark, and Kimmel appeared relaxed behind his desk. But for those paying close attention, there was something off in his demeanor. Behind his polite tone and playful grin, his eyes carried a glint of something sharper, a hint that this interview was about to take a turn no one expected. The first few questions were harmless. Kimmel complimented Aniston's performance, joked about her character's misadventures, and kept the energy light. The crowd laughed along. Yet, as moments passed, his jokes began to stray closer to personal territory. He leaned back, fingers steepled, eyes narrowing slightly as if preparing for the strike. "So, Jennifer," he said, with that trademark smirk, "I think everyone's been curious about your love life lately." The laughter that followed was uneasy. Aniston's expression tightened, but she kept her composure. "Jimmy, I'm here to talk about my work," she replied politely. But the air had already shifted. The crowd sensed it. The warmth was gone, replaced by a chilling awareness that something uncomfortable had just been set in motion. Kimmel didn't let it go. The moment Aniston set a boundary, he decided to push harder. He brought up rumors, tabloids, and whispered gossip, all the tired narratives Hollywood had thrown at her for years. "Oh, come on, Jennifer," he teased, forcing a laugh. "You've got the whole eternal bachelorette thing going on. Don't you think it's time to settle down?" The words landed like a blade. The laughter died instantly. Viewers could almost feel the room's temperature drop. Kimmel leaned in with mock innocence. "You know, the biological clock and all that." Aniston froze. The smile that had once disarmed millions vanished completely. For a moment, the silence was deafening. Everyone, the crew, the audience, the viewers at home, realized that a line had been crossed. Her jaw clenched. "Excuse me, Jimmy," she said quietly, but her tone carried steel. The cameras caught every flicker of emotion in her eyes. Shock, hurt, anger, all colliding at once. Kimmel tried to laugh it off, waving a dismissive hand, but the audience didn't follow. They weren't laughing anymore. They were watching, uncomfortable, waiting to see what would happen next. The power dynamic had shifted, and Jennifer Aniston was about to take it back. The silence stretched before Aniston spoke again. This time, her voice was steady, calm, but filled with controlled fury. "You have absolutely no right to comment on my personal choices," she said. "And the fact that you think this is acceptable says more about you than it does about me." The crowd gasped. Some applauded softly, others looked stunned. Behind the cameras, producers exchanged anxious glances, wondering if they should cut to commercial. But they didn't, and the cameras kept rolling. Kimmel's smirk faltered. He tried to brush it off with another laugh. "Come on, Jennifer. It's just comedy." Her eyes flashed. "Comedy," she repeated. "You think mocking a woman's choices, her age, her body, is comedy?" Her words sliced through the tension like a blade. Every syllable hit with the precision of someone who had been waiting years to speak the truth. The room was utterly still. Kimmel, realizing the depth of his mistake, looked around for support that wasn't there. Even his own staff seemed frozen in disbelief. Jennifer Aniston had turned the moment around, from humiliation to confrontation, and in doing so, she revealed a truth that late-night television had long ignored. Some jokes are just cruelty wrapped in laughter, What followed was no longer an interview. It was a reckoning. Aniston leaned forward, her voice low but unwavering. "You think this is entertainment?" she said. "You've turned women's lives into punchlines for years. And Hathaway, Charlize Theron, me. You think our pain is your content." Every word landed like a hammer. The audience sat in total silence, realizing they were witnessing something historic. The host, who had made a career out of mockery, now looked small, fragile, and powerless under the weight of his guest's composure. Behind the scenes, chaos erupted. Producers whispered into earpieces. The director hovered over the cut button but hesitated. The truth was, no one dared interrupt what was happening. It was too raw, too real. Kimmel stammered, "Jennifer, I think you're misunderstanding me." But she cut him off, her voice rising. "No, Jimmy, I understand you perfectly. You think you can reduce women to their personal lives because it gets you laughs. But it's not funny anymore." The audience began to clap, not out of habit, but out of respect. For the first time in a long time, someone was standing up to the very system that had normalized this behavior. And at that moment, it was no longer Kimmel's show. It was Jennifer Aniston's stage. Kimmel, visibly sweating, tried to regain control. "Relax," he said, forcing a laugh. "It's just a show. You're taking this too seriously." That single line sealed his fate. Aniston's face hardened. She stood up, chair scraping loudly against the floor, the sound echoing across the silent studio. "You think this is about me being dramatic?" she said, her voice trembling with emotion. "You humiliate women on national television, and then you tell us to relax. You turn our pain into your ratings. You are what's wrong with this industry." The applause began again, louder this time, growing with every word she spoke. Some audience members stood. Others pulled out their phones, recording what was clearly an unforgettable moment. Kimmel sat frozen, his usual quick wit gone. The man known for sharp comebacks had nothing left to say. For once, the punchline wasn't his, it was his downfall. Aniston took a deep breath, her voice calm once more. "You can call it comedy all you want," she said. "But when your joke depends on someone else's pain, that's not humor. That's cruelty." And with that, a silence fell so heavy that it felt sacred. Everyone knew they had just witnessed something bigger than television. A moment where truth shattered the illusion of late-night glamour, leaving only the raw, uncomfortable reality beneath it. For several seconds after Jennifer's outburst, the studio stood frozen in stunned silence. The air felt heavy, charged with energy that no one dared disturb. Even the stage lights seemed dimmer, as if the building itself understood the gravity of what had just happened. Jimmy Kimmel sat motionless behind his desk, his practiced smile gone, replaced by the pale realization that this was not a bit, not a punchline, not a setup for laughter. The cameras continued to roll, catching every flicker of emotion on his face, disbelief, discomfort, and the faint tremor of fear that comes when someone knows they have gone too far. Jennifer, still standing, looked out toward the audience, her expression a mix of pain and defiance. Every eye in the room was locked on her. No cue cards, no script, just raw truth hanging in the air. From the control booth, a frantic voice whispered through headsets, "Cut to commercial, cut to commercial." But the director hesitated. Something about the moment demanded to be seen. This was no longer television. This was history unfolding live. And then, Jennifer spoke again, quietly, but with conviction. "You think you can mock me because you hide behind a desk. You think your jokes protect you. But they don't. Not tonight." Her words echoed through the silent studio. The entire atmosphere shifted. The crowd, once a sea of laughter, had turned into witnesses. Witnesses to accountability, to courage, to a moment when the balance of power changed right before their eyes. It was no longer about comedy. It was about truth, and everyone knew it. Jimmy Kimmel blinked rapidly, searching for a way to repair the chaos he had created. His instinct told him to joke his way out, to twist the moment back into something light. But as he opened his mouth, the words came out wrong. "Come on, Jennifer," he said weakly, forcing a half smile. "Don't you think you're overreacting? It's all just part of the show." A low murmur rippled through the audience. The tone was wrong, dismissive, defensive, tone-deaf. Aniston's jaw tightened. Her silence was louder than any words she could have spoken. Realizing his mistake, Kimmel switched tactics. He leaned forward, adopting a pleading tone. "Look, I didn't mean to offend you. I was just trying to have fun. Jennifer's eyes met his. Calm, cold, controlled. Fun for who, Jimmy? She asked. Because it's never fun for the person being ridiculed. It's easy to laugh when you're not the one being torn apart. Every syllable carried weight. The audience could feel the truth of it. The decades of interviews where women had been objectified, mocked, or reduced to gossip fodder for entertainment. Kimmel shifted in his seat. His hands trembled slightly as he tried to shuffle his notes, pretending to regain control, but the illusion was gone. The king of late night had been stripped of his armor, and everyone could see the man behind the smirk. This wasn't just an awkward moment on television anymore. It was the collapse of a persona built on laughter that suddenly didn't sound so funny. Then came the breaking point, the moment where emotion became action. Jennifer stood tall, her voice trembling not from fear, but from years of pent-up frustration. You want to know what the real problem is, Jimmy? She said, pacing slightly behind her chair. You think you can say anything, and the word comedy will protect you. But comedy without empathy isn't comedy. It's cruelty dressed up as entertainment. Her words were not shouted. They were spoken with precision, each sentence cutting through the air like glass. The audience sat motionless, many visibly emotional. The once jubilant energy had turned into something profound, almost reverent. Kimmel looked down, unable to meet her eyes. For the first time, he seemed small. The applause began again, hesitant at first, then growing louder as people rose from their seats. This wasn't polite clapping. It was defiance. It was solidarity. Backstage, chaos erupted. Producers whispered frantically, "We're live. We can't cut away." But it was too late. The world was already watching. Jennifer took a deep breath. You have made a career out of laughing at people who can't fight back. But tonight, you picked the wrong guest. That line hit harder than anything she had said before. Because everyone knew, she was right. The mask of Hollywood civility had fallen, and what remained was truth, burning bright under the studio lights. The decision came quietly, but its impact was seismic. Jennifer reached for her purse, her movements deliberate and unhurried. The chair scraped once again against the studio floor, the sound slicing through the air like thunder. I came here to talk about my work, she said, voice steady. Not to defend my humanity. The audience stood, applauding wildly now. Some shouted words of support, others simply watched, awestruck. It was more than just a celebrity walking off a set. It was a statement, a refusal to accept humiliation disguised as humor. Jimmy Kimmel sat frozen, his hands clasped tightly on his desk. The camera stayed on him as she walked away. The applause grew louder, echoing off the walls of the studio. He tried to smile, but it came out as a grimace. The once confident host looked small, diminished, and deeply uncertain of what had just happened as Jennifer disappeared behind the curtain. A single truth remained hanging in the air. This was not a meltdown. It was a declaration, a demand for respect in an industry that too often forgot what that word meant. The studio fell silent after she left. No music, no outro jokes, no attempt to smooth over what had just happened. Only the echo of clapping and the faint hum of the cameras still recording. The world had just witnessed a reckoning, live, unfiltered, and unforgettable. Hours later, the internet exploded. Clips of the confrontation spread across every social media platform within minutes. Hashtags demanding accountability began trending worldwide. Respect Jennifer Aniston. Comedy has limits. Fire Kimmel. News outlets replayed the footage on loop, analyzing every pause, every word, every look. What began as an awkward interview had become a cultural moment, one that forced the entire entertainment industry to face its reflection. Jennifer Aniston had gone into that studio as an actress, promoting her project. She walked out as a symbol of strength, a voice for every person who had ever smiled through humiliation. Her calm, her restraint, and her refusal to be silenced became a rallying cry that echoed far beyond Hollywood. Meanwhile, Jimmy Kimmel faced the consequences. Sponsors pulled ads. Critics called for his resignation. Overnight, the tone of late-night comedy itself was called into question. The same audience that once laughed at his jokes now demanded answers. The industry had changed, maybe not completely, but unmistakably. The old ways of making entertainment at someone else's expense no longer seemed acceptable, and as the days passed, one truth became clear. What happened on that stage wasn't just an argument between a host and a guest. It was a breaking point, a moment when laughter met accountability, and Jennifer's walkout wasn't the end of a segment. It was the start of a new era, one where dignity, empathy, and respect mattered more than ratings. And as the world rewatched that moment again and again, one phrase kept echoing across screens and headlines. She didn't lose control. She took it back.